Whether you're ordering wings for the game, whipping up a 7-layer dip, or ordering pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food. No matter what you're craving, from 2-for-1 pizza to buy one, get one wings, Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week, all season long. Uber Eats, official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
This year, Santa's bringing the power of Energizer into his workshop.
Whoa, the Energizer Bunny's got so much power.
Wait, he's powered up all the toys. I think that means we're done for the year.
I love this bunny.
He's the hardest working helper the North Pole has ever seen. And he wants all your gifts to have the power of the #1 longest lasting AA battery. So this holiday season, stock up on Santa's and the elves' favorite battery, Energizer Ultimate Lithium.
Being a marketer's no sweat. You just have to manage dozens of channels, launch hundreds of campaigns, score thousands of leads, and okay, fine, it's a lot of sweat. Unless you have HubSpot's AI-powered marketing tools to help you do all that and more. Get started at HubSpot.com/marketers.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Eagles Postgame Live. Eagles get the W 34-6, which is truly an understatement of how much of a blowout this really was. There is nothing more satisfying than blowing out Dallas in Dallas. Joining us, he is Shane Haff at Shane Haff NFL. What's going on, Shane?
What's up? I feel a lot better, a lot more relaxed right now than I did on the halftime show. This is going to be fun.
Yes. Also joining us, the Rob Langy at Philly_Madness. What's going on, Rob?
I'm just so happy to come on a post game with you guys and be able to talk happily and not have to talk about some nonsense. I'm really excited to have fun with you guys and everybody chatting with us throughout the show today.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times, especially that first quarter and a half. We were all screaming, especially during our halftime show. But surely enough, 20-0 in the second half. The Eagles are truly a second half team, as we have seen throughout this season. They finally made adjustments, I feel like, at that last offensive possession to end the first half. And then going forward, Shane, quick reaction before we get into Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I mean, first half was a little rough, a little rocky. If you watched the halftime show, we said that they're probably going to pull away in the second half. Weird stuff happens in divisional games, and nice to see them pull away. Really nice to see them get some starters out for most of the fourth quarter because there's a huge game looming on Thursday.
That was it, right? That was the whole take was Thursday. That is going to be arguably the game of the year, right? That tier below that Ravens game. But I'll say it's probably more important than that Ravens game. So guys, if you're watching us live, please be sure to comment your thoughts on the huge Eagles win. Comment your thoughts on Jalen Hurts and the defense, especially. We do this thing. We go offense to defense. We'll lead off with Jalen Hurts. And, of course, if you're not subscribed to Eagles Pin Pool, do so already. We've got Tech in the house, my man, saying Hurts is from Texas. Probably had a little jitters playing hero ball early. We'll get into all of that. My man, Anthony, hope you're feeling well. I know you're dealing with some things. Couldn't watch majority of the game. Excited to watch you guys recap it. Thank God the Steelers pulled through. Let's get into this thing. Jalen Hurts, 14 of 20, 202 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. He allowed 5 sacks, but all those were in the first half. 7 carries for 56 yards and 2 scores. A tale of 2 halves, to be quite honest. This was the quintessential Jalen Hurts experience where, at least in the first half, he was holding onto the ball too long. The play calling was horrible. It's really not on Jalen, but really, he made 2 amazing throws in this one, sensing the pressure, stepping up in the pocket, delivering the ball. he just needs to work on that muscle memory, Shane. Like, that's my take, is that it's there. The instincts, the feel, the talent, it's all there. We just need to see it on a more consistent basis. Quick thoughts on Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, there were some ups and downs in this game, and I'll have to watch film to really dive into the sacks and is nobody open and what's going on there. But I want to zero in on the interception because, to be honest, and I will tell you when I think Jalen Hurts screws up. And that's just not what I think happened on that play. I think it was a tremendous play by Trevon Diggs. The Cowboys were showing a single high safety look, and he tried to target the seam ball to, I think it was it Goddard he was targeting? I think it was Goddard. And everybody's mentioning, like, on Twitter, Grant Calcaterra is open in the back corner of the end zone. That's because Trevon Diggs was a conflict defender. He's got to cover both of those routes. And he starts to get to the outside, and Hurts winds to throw it, and he broke across the middle. I think that was a great play.
Yeah.
I think I want my quarterback making that throw 10 times out of 10. The placement could be a little better. You could get it a little more up and inside, but that's more a really good play by Diggs, a guy that's has a career of being a ball hawk, than it was a bad one on Hurts. So I don't think the interception was that bad. I hate that the streak's over. The fumble, I dislike the fumble a lot more, but overall, Hurts pulls it out and he makes some really big plays down the stretch. And, the Eagles get the W, and it's thanks in no small part to Jalen Hurts' play.
Yeah, I don't blame Jalen Hurts whatsoever, as we talked on the halftime show. Sometimes you got to tip your hat to a great play by the defense. I thought Diggs really made a great play. I don't think Goddard was even his man on that one, and that was just awesome. That was just a better play by the defense. Rob, what was your quick take reaction on Jalen Hurts' performance?
Yeah, I think the first quarter and a half, him holding the ball was driving me a little crazy. The couple of those sacks, he's got to get rid of the ball. So even the one he fumbled late in the first half, I thought, got to get rid of it. But look, he's a gamer. He came back. He made some really good throws in the third quarter, made some really nice plays with his legs. You guys are dead on. That interception was a great play by Trevon Diggs. The fumble was a little annoying, but overall, at the end of the day, he accounts for 4 touchdowns in the game and deserves a lot of credit for not allowing the slow start to affect him the rest of the game. He was really able to take over at that point.
Yeah, here's a throwing across the middle of the field to A.J. Brown. I think that was like a good 40. No, that wasn't the 44-yarder. Although A.J. kind of looked hurt a couple times after some receptions today. Maybe we'll get to that in a little bit. Here's a big run by Jalen. Good to see that. I want to get to this. That throw was awesome. They were basically running engage 8 like all game, going right after Jalen Hurts. Senses the pressure, moves out, throws a nice dart to Jalen Hurts. And then this throw, my man, Rob, do you want to walk us through this one?
Is this to my guy?
Yes, sir.
Listen, I kind of, obviously it's a bit of a scramble play there, and I think Johnny Wilson but Johnny, it was almost the same type of catch for him. The guy's so big, and I think Tony Romo even called it out. You kind of like box out like he's in basketball, and just stand there and be ready to catch the ball. And today he didn't get called for pass interference, and he gets his touchdown. And yes, I am proven to be a genius after my call at the end of Party on Broad on Monday when I said Johnny Wilson is going to score a touchdown. So there you go.
Johnny Wilson officially has more points scored than holding penalties this season. Congratulations. We're excited about that one. Shane, any other thoughts on Jalen Hurts before we go on? Because after this, I want to talk about Kellen Moore in the offense.
No, not really. I think we covered it. Just some ups and downs. But one thing I appreciate about Hurts that I've said for years is he doesn't normally let things snowball. You don't typically have one turnover turns into 3 or 4 or 5 and things just go off the rails. He tends to bounce back and be a steadying presence. So I always appreciate that about Hurts. I think he gets a lot more criticism than he deserves from Eagles fans and national media alike. And, I thought it was a rough start, but he finished well.
Yeah. Let's get to Kellen Moore's offense, which was cold to start and then really finished strong. Again, Jalen Hurts played well, but I thought they weren't utilizing Saquon Barkley enough early on. They weren't using quick passes early on, and that really kind of fixed after that last drive in the first half. And then even coming out of the second half, we saw 3 straight runs, and they kind of started to move the chains a little bit and own time of possession. I'm very curious what time of possession looked like, because it was only 1 minute towards the Eagles at the end of the first half. The Eagles ended up winning time of possession 34 minutes to 25. So someone do the math on that for the second half. But that was literally my second half adjustment, own time of possession, and they did that. So kudos to Kellen Moore and Jalen Hurts for making those adjustments in the second half. I thought the offensive line played better. I thought the offensive play calling was better. They were running through Saquon Barkley at times. Rob, any thoughts on Kellen Moore and the adjustments?
Yeah, I think that they almost underestimated what Dallas's defense was going to do early in that game, both the pass rush, and they were stopping the run early. And I think that they kept going to those, long developing plays that I don't think were going to work in this one. I almost feel like they saw something on the 2-minute drive before when they went down and scored at the end of the first half. Because they started going to the quicker routes, the quicker throws, and just taking what the defense gives you. Then they started beating the blitz on things, and I thought overall they got Saquon more involved. So, I mean, look, one of the things about this coaching staff I love is their ability to adjust. They're not just going to stick to their guns and say, screw you. And I've seen that a lot over the last 4 or 5 weeks during this win streak, where they will adjust to what is working and they'll go with it. So, good for Kellen Moore that he did that as well.
Shane?
Yeah, it's really hard to prognosticate without seeing all 22 first, but it definitely felt like that drive before half, there was a big emphasis on running more quick game. And that doesn't necessarily mean throwing underneath, but it's the drops that you're taking and the concepts that you're calling. And it seemed like there was a bigger emphasis on staying on time, staying in rhythm, not getting behind the sticks. And you saw the Eagles move down the field doing that, and then you saw them just take over in the second half. And once you start to hit on that stuff, it gives you the ability to then, run your play action, under center play action bomb to A.J. Brown and some of those things. And it felt like they were pressing a little bit too early. Maybe Kellen Moore, playing at the team that scapegoated him a couple years ago, wanted to really stick a dagger in him early. And maybe he got a little over aggressive, is kind of my thought.
Cameron has an amazing comment here. Johnny Wilson catches a touchdown 50% of the time he catches the ball.
Damn straight.
Fantastic. Dallas went from two safeties to 1 safety on the AJ bomb. I think Kellen came into this game underestimating the Dallas pass rush. I agree. I fully agree, especially in the first half. I feel like the drop back verticals work if Fred Johnson holds up a little better, or Kenny Gainwell knows how to pick up a blitz. We beat up a team missing their quarterback. Next game will be a better test. And Cameron says 20 minutes to 10 minutes in the second half.
Yeah. See, I hate that mindset by Q. Like, listen, you did what you're supposed to do to a team like that. You know what I mean? Like, last year, even when they were winning games everything was close. Everything was ugly. Everything was This team is doing what they're supposed to do. Even last week, they beat up on a team. It didn't show in the final score, but they beat up on a team. So, I'm okay with that because that's what you're supposed to do right now.
Yep. All right. Let's roll on to running back. Saquon Barkley, 14 carries, 66 yards, which is a little bit of a shock on one end, considering how terrible the Cowboys' run defense was. On the other end, is it kind of good that they were only able to give him 14 rushes in a huge overlapping victory over the Dallas Cowboys? Yes. So pick your poison. For me, that Thursday game on the horizon is massive. So, yeah, I'll be the one to say I did want more Saquon Barkley in the first half. On the other end, I'm kind of glad he didn't get that much work. Mm-hmm. Shane, thoughts on Saquon Barkley and the rushing attack?
Yeah, the rushing attack didn't look as good today. There was definitely a struggle to run the ball early. You mentioned, wanting to run the ball more early, but Saquon was under 4 yards a carry at halftime. And so the run game wasn't working. The Cowboys do load the box a lot, and they were doing that in this game, but they've also been a pretty bad run defense. So we've got such a track record of the Eagles being a good running team. I'm not going to say I'm concerned about it, but I did think it was strange they were unable to run the ball well early. But you mentioned, maybe it's nice that Saquon has a little bit of a lighter game, although part of it being a light game comes from him missing some time after he appeared to hurt his wrist or his forearm. So hopefully he's good. He was back in the game, so I'm sure he is. And hopefully he's 100% on Thursday.
What about you, Rob?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it was the way that the game went, especially in the second half, was short fields, a lot of turnovers from Dallas. The Eagles found something through the air there for a little while. It just wasn't that game. It was concerning in the first half. They couldn't get anything going, but his runs in the second half, he started to break those 4, 5, 6, 8-yard runs, which was nice to see. Listen, the fact that they all got to sit, for a lot of that fourth quarter, especially on a short week with the big game coming up, you can't be upset about that. So, I mean, you just got, hopefully this was a one game thing and he's back to being his guy on Thursday.
I agree.
Oh,
Reddit clip says, I'm satisfied. Let Saquon breathe for Thursday. That's a huge storyline heading into that Washington game. Didn't get the Will Shipley, runs I was hoping for there in that fourth quarter. Moving on to receiving, A.J. Brown, huge game, 5 receptions, 109 yards. A couple of those were massive momentum plays in this one. Jahan Dotson had a nice catch on a go route. Dallas Goedert making his return, had 2 receptions on 3 targets for 25 yards and a touchdown. Another game, which is, I think, kind of a great example of our somewhat frustrations in this one. Yeah, they scored 34 points in this one, but would like to see more Devontae with those quick routes and getting him into open space. Rob, any thoughts on AJ or any of the receivers before we get into the defense, which really was the main story tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see more Devontae. I don't like these games where he's only got 2 catches for 14 yards. I don't think you're using him for what he can do for you, and I think a lot of that was early. It seemed like there was they didn't want to go back over the middle of the field again. I felt like that was happening early in the game. And then it just seemed like they were keeping everything on the outside. And I don't know. It's just something felt a little weird about that. And then it was hard to get a rhythm because they didn't really have too many long drives because of the turnovers in the second half. But, that's the only downfall. But, I mean, it's hard to have a negative when you beat a team 34-6, and your quarterback scores 4 touchdowns, is responsible for 4 touchdowns. But I just would like to see Devontae a little bit more involved.
Shane, any thoughts?
Yeah, it's nice seeing that ball go to Jahan Dotson. And I jokingly said last week when he made that insane catch, welcome to the trust tree. And today when Jalen Hurts throws a back shoulder ball up to him down the sideline, I tweeted that one out and I was like, trust tree activated. I mean, it's nice to see him do that. It's nice to see Dotson paying Hurts off back-to-back weeks downfield. I'm with Rob. I would like to see Devontae Smith get going a little more. It just seems like some games he is getting lots of targets. And, last week he has that drive. He just takes over. And this week it's 2 catches for 14 yards. And the week before, I think it was the -2 yard game. And so I would like to see Devontae Smith consistently involved, but it's hard to do that when you've got A.J. Brown and you've got Dallas Goedert and you're going to run the ball 38 times in a game. So I get it. And I don't think Devontae Smith has any of that diva in him that A.J. Brown has at times. So I don't think it'll be a problem, but I do love to see Devontae get his when he gets the chance.
That's what pisses me off. Sorry for the language, about the long developing plays. That's the entire point is you have a weapon like Devontae Smith. Get the ball out. Get this offense going. Get Jalen Hurts in rhythm. And you have one of the best guys to do it. And they seem to just abandon it. I don't know why. But let's roll on to defense. My gosh, I don't even know where to begin. The Eagles have not given up a touchdown in 2 divisional games so far this season. this Eagles defense had as many turnovers as points allowed, nearly as many turnovers as points allowed, which is insane. Shane, start us off. Where do we go with the defense?
I mean, there's so many places you could go. So we can preface and say Cooper Rush is a horrific quarterback. And now I'm not going to mention that again because I just want to talk about the defense. And the Eagles defense is now second in the NFL in points per game allowed, behind only the Chargers. So this is a defense that we came into the year saying, hey, if they can be like average, just be the 16th best defense, this team could go a long ways. And the defense is playing at an unbelievable level right now. They forced 5 turnovers in this game. Shout out to the rest of the NFL that big brained the draft and didn't draft Quinyon Mitchell, who was clearly the CB1. I'm standing on my pre-draft ranking here. In the draft, they let him fall because he played for Toledo. Shout out to the rest of the NFL that wouldn't draft Cooper DeJean because he's a white cornerback. Those guys are incredible. Quinyon Mitchell was targeted 4 times in this game. 3 of them were charted as tight window throws by Next Gen Stats. Cooper DeJean allowed 5 yards on 5 total targets. I mean, I have unflappable confidence in these guys and their rookies, and that feels insane to me. Yeah. Zach Bond is just incredible. I could keep name dropping guys, but just what Fangio has gotten out of these guys is incredible. Defense is fun to watch.
It's mind-blowing that this is the same defense that we saw against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers weeks ago. You see it. The Eagles defense immediately being on top of receivers all game long. I just absolutely love how Vic Fangio has completely rejuvenated the linebacker position in Philadelphia. Nakobe Dean is finally flourishing as the player I hoped he would be. Zach Bond, like you said, Shane, has been a complete revelation. Moving to inside backer, giving him every down reps, just a slam dunk across the board for the Eagles linebackers right now. Go ahead, Rob. Where do you want to take this?
I want to talk about Cooper DeJean may be the best tackler as a cornerback that we've had in Philadelphia in a really, really long time. Like when he's got a guy one-on-one in the open field and it goes kind of what Shane was saying, I have no fear that he's going to make the tackle. I mean, it doesn't matter who it is. You know, he makes the play on CeeDee Lamb at one point. He makes a play on the running back at one point. You know, and then it's like, you know, he does all this and then goes back there and looks like he could break one as a punt returner because, I mean, he's that athletic. He's that skilled. He's that impressive of a football player. And that's not to take anything away from Quinyon, who obviously, you know, the stats may not always show it, but that's because they said it on the broadcast. He has become a lockdown corner. Think of the guys he's gone up against this year and think of what their stat lines were. And I know that today Cooper Rush impacts CeeDee Lamb a little bit, but there was no room. So even if CeeDee Lamb caught the ball, he was being tackled right away. Those 2 guys are changing the face. And then when you throw in there the fact that the Eagles are now the linebacker U of the NFL with Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean and the way that they're playing, it's like 2 of the areas that have been such a pain for us over the last couple of years are the strengths that we're getting to the point where we don't have to worry about them right now. And then it allows things to happen like Bryce Huff getting a sack and defensive line, you know, and Jalen Carter just dominating on the inside. It's just everything seems to be coming together in that defense, and it's a great thing to see.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for University Housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I love the Bryce Huff sighting. That was hilarious. When that play happened, I thought it was Bryce Huff, and I had to check myself twice because I was like, "There's no way that was Bryce Huff."
By the way, Jalix Hunt doubled Bryce Huff's snap count today, 25 to 12.
Wow,
interesting.
As earned. Jalen's ready for. That's another storyline that would be really fun to watch. Had the deflection at the line of scrimmage, as Brett Eclipse says. Cameron says, tweeted Shane at halftime when turnovers were 2-2. The Eagles are going to live and die by the turnover differential this season. I'm going to die on that somewhat obvious hill.
Be careful about the hills you die on, Cameron. Be careful. Just saying.
Cooper DeJean tackling University equals Stoutland University. I like that a lot. Howie should be sending Big Don to kidnap Zach Bond, and if he tries to leave this offseason. I'm already scouting inside linebackers. DeJean's tackles aren't all just diving at legs either.
So good at it.
He hits and plays so much bigger than he does. I don't understand it.
And he's got swagger too, man. He's got a lot. Him and Q both, they have that swagger about them, which I friggin' love from our secondary.
Yeah. Zach Bond led the team in tackles, 8 tackles. CJ was 7. Nakobe Dean was just smothering all over the football field. Didn't give anyone an inch. Isaiah Rodgers had a solid game after D. Slay got hurt again. Jalen Carter was blowing up guys in the backfield, had a big tackle for loss on that 3rd and goal. Quinyon Mitchell, again, great coverage yet again. Josh Sweat didn't really do much. But, yeah, how about – yeah, go ahead, Rob.
I was going to say, they were getting pressures early. They were getting back there. They were making it uncomfortable. Sweat seemed to be like one step away from a sack multiple times in the game. And, you were talking about Zach Bond with the tackles. He also forces 2 fumbles by putting his helmet right on the ball. And they had talked about that way back at the bye week that they wanted to start forcing more fumbles. And, my God, I just feel like they've really come into another world with that right now.
He hits like a safety and doesn't miss tackles. Shane, PFF had a ranking of the Eagles' defensive line being the 2nd best in the NFL. What's your take on that?
It as like a pass rushing unit?
Yeah.
No.
It does not pass the eye test, at least the first few weeks.
No, I don't buy that at all. I mean, it hasn't been as bad as like a lot of Eagles fans think it has, but it's definitely not been like 2nd best in the league sort of rate. Like fringe top 10 is probably where I would go. I would say they're like fringe top 10. They're in that 8 to like 11, 12 range as a pass rushing unit right now. Jalen Carter's dominating up the middle week in and week out. Josh Sweat has started to come alive, although I thought he didn't have the best game today. If they had like that premier edge rushing threat, Jalen Carter would be racking up sacks like crazy right now. Also, if officials ever actually threw a holding flag on an offensive lineman that bear hugs Jalen Carter, it would help out too. But no, they're definitely not like number 2 or 3 or anything that high.
Defensive tackles, sure, the edge rush has improved, but it's the weakest phase of the defense. It's crazy when you can like think about how good the defensive backs have been lately and how good the linebacker play has been lately. And like edge is like probably the worst among that group off the top of my head right there. But they are playing somewhat 2022 defensive football. Like Jalen Carter's been a monster. Quinyon, Coop, Zach Bond, Nakobe Dean. Those guys have completely supercharged this defense. Shane, any other thoughts on this defense before we get into play of the game?
And I feel like I should just say more and more about the defense because there were so many good performances in this one. But I'll let it go. It'll be fun I don't even know if it'll be fun defensive film to watch back, but just dominating performance from opening kickoff to the end of the game for the defense.
How many holding calls have we gotten? Can't even remember last time we did. I don't know. Cameron, the rest for Slay in the 4th was big. Feel like he's going to push through Thursday and then take advantage.
Yeah, I think that was, if you saw, he rolled his ankle. That wasn't back to like the hamstring or anything. He actually rolled his ankle. My guess is because he did come back out and he did play a little bit. So I think he'll be fine by Thursday. But yeah, it was good that him, along with a lot of these guys, were able to go sit on the bench for most of the 4th quarter. And prepare because they're not getting home though. I think they said 2 a.m. today, and then it's it's going to be a really quick run the Thursday. So getting that rest was huge.
That game's in Philly, right?
Yes.
All right, good. That's good. Shout out to Reed Blankenship, underrated leader. Slay has been fractured. I feel like he gets hurt every game. That's the vibe. The defense.
That's the dice that you roll with corners over 30. Like,
yep.
Eventually the switch flips and you either fall off a cliff like James Bradbury did, or you start getting dinged up a lot. And that's unfortunately been Slay's luck this year, as he's just been hurt a lot. And it's all different injuries, it seems like. So hopefully he can eventually kind of get over that and be healthy for the playoffs.
Yeah. Defense is executing at a high level, despite the level of competition. I kind of want to see Quinyon trailing Terry McLaurin instead of sticking to the left side. Is Dallas legitimately the worst team in the league right now? They look bad. They look Cleveland Browns bad.
The Jets are giving them a run for their money with their performance today. Holy hell.
Glad they left CJ Gardner-Johnson in there with the backups to save our overall stats. You need to get his confidence back, though, for sure. Because if he's not like creating turnovers, what good is he?
Well, we got his interception today, so maybe that starts a trend. He got the interception late on Trey Lance. Baited him.
All right, let's get into our Eagles player of the game. Lead us off, Rob. Who you going with?
Man, it's like you have to go defensive at this point. I'm going to go with Zach Bond because it's week in and week out he's leading in tackles, but 2 times today he forced fumbles. One I think he actually may have recovered. It's just the guy has turned into such a weapon for them. He's in on every play. He busts up holes in the run game. Just when it looks like a team may be starting to get something going, it seems like he's the guy to put an end to that. So I'm going to give it to Zach Bond today. I thought it was a tremendous performance for the defense, and I think he was one of the leaders.
That's where I would have gone, no doubt. 8 tackles, a tackle for loss. I feel like he has more than that. 2 forced fumbles, a fumble recovery. This Eagles team getting defensive takeaways is so massive, and then he's been on the front list of that. Shane, who is your player of the game?
I would have gone with Zach Bond as well, but I'll go with Jalen Carter. He doesn't light up the stat sheet very often, but he's so disruptive. Just like when you're watching the game, just lock in on him for like a drive. It's crazy the amount of disruption he causes. So give me Jalen Carter.
Damn it, guys.
Take Cooper DeJean. He had the punt return and played good on defense. That was
I will take Cooper DeJean as he didn't have a 4th down stop this week. He sucks. He's a bust.
What a bust. What a bum.
Yeah. But Cooper DeJean continues to be again the spark plug of this defense. Remember a year ago when the Eagles had 0 answers in the slot? Like, he has completely transformed this defense and what they can do and the combinations they can put on the field, whether that's corner, slot, safety, or linebacker, you name it. Cooper DeJean is doing it all. And the tackling and the discipline, it's just been through the roof. So major shout out, to Vic Fangio yet again. I know we said it earlier in the show, unlocking the linebackers on this team. But going with the young kids and growing them and developing them, from Cooper DeJean to Quinyon Mitchell to Milton Williams, Thomas Booker, you could go up, Moro Jomo, you could go on and on and on with guys on this defense. And it's been outstanding. What's up, Nick Nurse? Play your young guys. Shane, who's your player of the game?
Well, I already went. I said Jalen Carter, but if you give me another one, give me Jalen Hurts. 202 yards passing. 56 yards rushing, 4 total touchdowns. So I'll make my second player of the game, Jalen Hurts. Give me the Jalens.
Jalen Hurts, great throws, timely runs. N'Kobe feels like he's really come a long way in coverage. And besides Bond, that might be the biggest unexpected improvement that's elevated this defense. He's playing like the best linebacker in the NFL, and I don't even know if that's crazy to say. Like, he's been that good. 4 touchdowns. Cooper DeJean is Malcolm Jenkins resurrected. I love that. Starting to believe that Nick Nurse is more Doug. Absolutely agree with that. The switch flip so fast for this defense. It's crazy they're all so young. Even Bond is only 27. All right, Shane. Should we do 3 words or less?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right. So every week we put out on Twitter for you guys to give us your 3-word reactions to the game. And so after the game, head over to Twitter. You can do that at Eagles Pin Pull. I also always tweet it. You guys can also drop them here in the comments live as we go along. I'll pick some of our favorites and put them on the show. So we got one from Phil, host of the Check Down. Maybe we'll let him break the rules. I need a ruling on this because he says he only needs 1 word, confident, but it's 3 words. I guess it says 3 words or less on the graphic. So we'll let that slide. Phil's 3-word or less is confident. We've got Winston chiming in and says, go beat Washington. So huge matchup looming on Thursday, which, by the way, Washington losing today officially puts the Eagles first in the division. Ryan says, what ankle injury? We've got a rest feels good from, I don't know what that name is, but he said rest feels good. We've got Dan saying, love Jerry Jones. We've got Max saying, hey, Jerry, ! Blinds.
Hey, by the way, my favorite part of the game was when they zoomed up Jerry's box, as they always do, and he wasn't there. His chair was empty, and it was just Stephen Jones sitting there. And it was like all the ideas of where Jerry could have been at that moment, every single one brought a smile to my face because it was nothing good.
Yeah, we've got Elliot says, yeah, here, and then made we go 1 word, which is technically cheating, but I'm in a good mood because the Eagles just pummeled Dallas. So we'll let it slide. And then Max says Yankees fans devastated. So there's some of the 3 words that we got from Twitter. I'm going to go with my 3-word is Super Bowl bound, because the last time the Eagles won a game in Dallas, I don't know if you know this, is 2017. And the Eagles did something pretty cool that year. They went and won the Super Bowl. So let's go. If you win in Dallas, you got to go win the Super Bowl.
All right. I'm just gonna say enjoyable 4th quarter. After last week where we were kind of sweating bullets there to the end, it was kind of nice to be able to sit back in the 4th quarter and root for Will Shipley to break one. That was kind of all I was doing in the 4th quarter. So enjoyable 4th quarter, but let's get ready for Thursday now, man.
I'll go feels like 2022. And for the reason I'm saying that is because the Eagles put up 20 points in the second half in this one. Again, they doubled the Cowboys in time of possession. You go back to 2022 when the Eagles just ran the ball down people's throats and just owned it. And that's what I want to see from this team. Yeah, I would like to see 4th quarter or 4-quarter football from the Philadelphia Eagles. But at the end of the day, when your team's playing at their best in the second half, it ain't that bad. So for me, feels like 2022 because the Eagles are owning time of possession, and let's see what they got against the Washington Commanders. Where do we go from here, Shane? Final thoughts, plugs? I don't think we have any other segments.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much it. We got a couple good comments coming in here. We've got an experienced coordinators rock coming in from Q. Travis said we're fun again. We got a prayers for Jerry. We even got a noodle arm picket. And we got a flowers are sprouting, bringing back the flower metaphor from, was that 2021?
That was Sirianni, right?
Yeah, it was 2021, I think, when Sirianni said that. So, yeah, fun stuff. Thursday obviously looms large because the Eagles will host the Commanders. That'd be a huge win. But it kicks off a pretty tough stretch. The Eagles will go at Los Angeles to play the Rams, at Baltimore, home versus the Panthers. That's the easy one. But then you get the Steelers and at the Commanders again. And so we're going to find out a lot about the Eagles over the next little stretch here. It's a really important stretch, and it all starts Thursday. So I can't wait. I've been looking forward to this Washington game on Thursday for a month now. I'm really excited to watch that one play out.
Anything you want to plug, man?
Yeah, you can check me out on Twitter at ShaneHalfNFL. Obviously, follow the Eagles Pin Pull Network wherever you get your podcasts. We'll have lots of content coming your way this week. in a pretty condensed time frame since it's a Thursday night game. But stay tuned there for all the stuff, and really appreciate all you guys for joining us here on the post-game show.
Rob, you're up, man.
On Twitter, Philly_Madness. Catch me here on the post-game shows. You catch me on Mondays on Party on Broad, where we have some fun with our boy Ryan. That's about it. But yeah, great win. And now I'm just really pumped. We only got to wait a few days for this one on Thursday.
Oh, man, I can't wait. That is going to be hype. Guys, we'll be back at it, at least for Birds of the Roundtable Tuesday night. So be sure to watch us break down everything you need to know, matchups to watch, all that fun stuff on Birds of the Roundtable. I do a show called Party on Broad. I'm already breaking down my top 10 prospects for the 2025 NFL Draft. I've done quarterbacks. I've done edge. Some fun guys in those lists. So go check that out, as well as shorts. One last time, he is Shane at Shane Half NFL. He is Rob at Philly_Madness. I am Deibs. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Stay